the Jewishness in your novels. Can you tell us what that means to you, what kind of self-consciousness you have about it, whether that's a help or a hindrance?
Yeah, it's not a self-consciousness. When I started out as a novelist, I didn't want to get pigeonholed as a Jewish novelist because I felt I would sell less books. And I wanted to sort of appeal to a broader, I wanted to write American novels. I didn't want to write Jewish novels. So my first bunch of books are really not, they really have no Jewish content at all. And then the joke, of course, is that as soon as I wrote one with Jewish content, it hit the New York Times bestseller list. And no one has yet been able to tell me, is that because all the Jews bought it? Or is that because, but whatever it was, it was something I avoided for the first 4 books. And then when I got to the 5th book, it was kind of like, this is the only way to tell the story, and so I'm just going to give it a shot. And I was like, well, who else is going to do this? I know about this stuff. Let me give it a shot. So.
Also, the humor is some of that sort of intrinsic.
See, that's a weird question, because you're asking me if the humor is Jewish, which I don't really know what that means. I was at a weird. I was not a weird reading. A weird thing happened to me at a reading in Seattle where somebody told me that the sexuality was very Jewish. I was just like, and I just didn't even know what that means. I don't know if it's a Jewish humor. I think what some people associate as Jewish humor is really New York humor, or some people think it's Woody Allen. I don't know. It's just, I don't know what that actually means. But yeah, whatever it is. I'm from New York and I'm Jewish, so I guess it's going to hit me one way or the other. But yeah. Anybody have that? Yes?
Do you read other people's works while you're writing, and is it hard to separate being a reader from being a writer?
Yeah, I generally, when I'm writing, try to avoid that. If the joke is then the next question I generally get asked is, what are you reading now, or what great books have you read lately? And I really haven't read very many books in the last year and a half because, I'm writing the television show and I was writing this book, and there's no time. And I also don't want, the writers I love, I just don't want their voices in my head while I'm writing. So I tend to, now that I finished this book, as soon as the show wraps, I plan to, spend a good 2 or 3 months just reading, a book a week. But, the joke is, I finally have a TV show and I've stopped watching TV, and which is sad. I miss my shows. I write books. I lose the ability to read books for a while, and that's sort of, I guess if that's suffering for your art, it's not the biggest deal, but, Yes. So, it's like a split. All right. Yes, go ahead.
When do you get your inspiration? What part of the day do you like? It doesn't matter.
I don't really spend, except when I'm really on a deadline, I don't tend to write at night. I try to treat it like a day job, really. I wake up, I'm at my desk by 8:30, and I'm usually burning out by 12 or 1, so then I take a break and do sort of the administrative side of my job, and then try to write again in the afternoon for a few hours. And then when I'm really slammed, like I have been for the last year, I also do 2 or 3 hours at night. But I don't have a particular... I guess I've been a little... just whenever. I don't have an answer. You wanted to...
Who do you like to read?
My favorite novelist is probably Richard Russo, and I'll read everything he writes. I like Joyce Carol Oates, I like John Irving, Jess Walter, people like that. It's, Michael Chabon, Jonathan Lethem sometimes. That's it that I can think of offhand. So, unless anybody has anything else, I'm going to be over here, and feel free to come up and I'll sign your books, and you can ask me other questions or have me sign other people's books or whatever works.